Yes, guys, welcome back to the Care of AM show here on Tropics 105.5 FM. Let me move my mic a little bit closer so that, we're not both struggling. I hope you're having a good morning. We have Ralph here in the studio, fiddling with the mic and
Sorry.
having a time. It's actually entertaining for me. Keep going. Yeah, sure. We're dealing with this situation of not knowing, what should be done in terms of gender roles. For me, it's like, I was like, wait, what? Because I was taken a little bit aback by it because first of all, I've already given up on that whole discussion. I just don't think it's worth my time to really, devote to always discussing, what men should do and what women should do. But it was just like, it was like personal something and somebody came to me about it. So I was like, okay, you know what? I think it's something that we should address. Yeah. And I don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I would love to be a housewife. Flicks here. But at the same time,
even being a housewife, it takes work,
Yeah, that is a lot of work. Also, are you making 6 figures a year? You don't have to be making 6 figures, in a month, because I feel like then we're crossing into illegality territory. But I'm just saying, are you making 6 figures a year? Because that's like basically the only thing that would make me comfortable enough to say, well, all right, let me give up my career and become a housewife. And I feel like even if I did that, I would still do something on the side for myself.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
I don't know, it's just like this very, very weird understanding of what men should do and what women should do, because we also get this this narrative of, oh yeah, well, our grandparents were happy. First of all, my grandmother didn't know to read. Shut your mouth. So, well, she did. That was a joke. My grandmother knew how to read. And so did my great grandmother. But at the same time, there was
knowledge was still limited.
There you go. The knowledge was limited. You had so little that you could do without a man. And I mean, my generation isn't exactly a good example of it, because throughout my generations, most of the women left their kids up to whomever, and they left because they were like, I don't really want these kids. I had these kids, but y'all didn't tell me how much work it was. Deuces, and they headed out. It's like that SpongeBob meme. All right, I'm gonna head out, and then they left their kids for like other people. This is just things that happened within my generation. We were doing like the mapping of everything, and I was finding out, okay, who lived here and who did what and whatnot, and we were able to trace my my lineage all the way back to like slavery.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was crazy, we got to do that. But at the same time, I found out that the women in my family were not here for the madness. They didn't want kids like that. They had the kids, quite a few of them, so I'm guessing they probably enjoyed the act, but they just didn't want to do the whole kid thing.
The act is great, yeah.
So, and then they left. Nowadays, we have this rhetoric of, oh yeah, well, our grandparents were so much happier. They didn't have options. They had no options. They had no choice.
And a lot of them were forced to settle.
Exactly. You were forced to settle into whatever your situation entailed. Also, what men don't know is that our grandmothers told us, don't be like me. Get educated. Get yourself your money. Do what you gotta do. Don't be like me. Every generation always says, don't be like me. Be better. And that's like the one thing that that women don't tend to share a lot with everybody else, because right now in the social media generation, we just seem to be giving up all the secrets of gender behavior and all this kind of stuff, oh well, growing up you're taught this and you're taught that, but you're also taught, don't be like me.
To advance, to be better.
Be advanced, be better, get educated, make your own money. Don't let these men control you.
Yeah, or as Melania Trump said, be best.
Be best. Be best.
Yeah, I think how it used to be, looking back is really Just that. Looking back, so you could turn your head again and move forward.
Exactly.
It helps to, as someone who always talks about history, to learn lessons of history, those that are good and those that, could definitely use some changing. Because one of the factors you have to consider, as you shared, is the economy of the world at that time.
Yeah.
The work that was available as well wasn't, in some cases, the very strenuous agricultural, labor. You prefer that a man do that so that a woman could, take care of the domestic affairs. But going back to the beginning, I think even now, you still have to get that understanding that being a housewife is a lot of work. Taking care of a home is a lot of work, as far as cleaning, getting groceries, remodeling, and all those factors that make a house a home. So in addition to that, I think, at this point in time, like you rightfully shared, those type of back and forth as to get what men should do, what women should do, what it should be settled by now, I think.
Yeah, I thought that everything was fine, but apparently there's still people running around and having this discussion.
Yeah.
Because again, I will always say I'm a feminist. I believe in equality for men and women. I think that men do deserve a softer softer treatment than we've been giving them in the past, and women deserve more respect than we've been giving them in the past. So in that sense, we have a lot of emotional allowance that we need to give men. Let men be a little bit softer. Let them be vulnerable a little bit. But
then
the
social also, training we receive it needs a turnaround.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need to give them a little bit more love and care than we've been giving them before, and not just from the perspective of let's just coddle them. No, you can allow them if they fall and they hurt themselves. If they want to cry, if the little boy wants to cry, let him cry. You can love him and give him that kind of support. And if he feels like he's overwhelmed, it's not just man up and
shut down your emotions.
No, all right, let's talk about it. That kind of thing. And then on the other side of the spectrum, not putting so much emphasis on women having to do all of the everything because so
only thing to do, and what are you gonna do when you get married?
Exactly.
Correct.
If you don't make your bed, but Biggs, I have 3 jobs. I don't really want to do this. Can I just hire a maid? A maid is what, like $20 an hour. Let her come in for an hour, maybe once a week. I will pay that. Yeah. Because I'd be tired at the end of the week, and I really don't want to have to deal with all of it.
And then at this point in time, shout out to those of us who got that training. You got to think as well, as a man. But when you leave your mom's home and you're all alone, who can do all the work for you?
This is it.
So it makes sense that you just have those skills, that women are trained to definitely must have.
Yeah.
Just so you can take care of your own self. Because you want to live in a clean environment.
Exactly.
You want to ensure that you're able to eat.
No, but then what we do is we find women to do these things for us, or we have moms that will pop in every so often and do the cleaning and clean up and all this.
That's true. So is that the mother-son relationship that dynamic also needs to change a bit. And it's true, because I definitely grew up spoiled, from my mom. So that was tough, especially the cooking part. But I made do. Simply put, I got myself a crock pot when I went to school. I had a George Foreman grill and all. I was.
My boy said crock pot.
Yeah, I had a crock pot.
My boy said crock pot and George Foreman grill. You know what? Listen, I appreciate the effort. I laugh, but it's a lot better than most would even come up with. So shout out to you for doing that. Also, we're not allowed to have fire in the dorms, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that too.
Okay,
yeah.
So then that makes sense. Makes sense. I understand.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. However, it's still there's still a very big disconnect between the roles of men and the roles of women. And it doesn't. I don't understand why it has to be this level of, you have to do this and you have to do that.
I think the new norm is, or should be, simply put, domestic affairs is to be shared.
Yes.
That's it, period.
Because back in the day, when your grandmother and my grandmother were doing all of the housework, there was nothing else for her to do. Meanwhile, as a generation, women tend to work 1, 2, 3 jobs, and then at the same time, we're expected to do the domestic portion of it, or we're expected to like aspire to marriage and want to do this. A lot of us want to have our own careers. We want to be our own people, and we want to have something for ourselves. Don't get me wrong. I love being pampered. One of my love languages is receiving gifts. Yeah. But at the same time,
gifts of the spirit.
Ralph, did you find a free way? No, I'm talking like physical, materialistic gifts. Let's not diminish that. But gifts of the spirit is good too. I receive those. But the Lord already died for my sins. I don't really need, I don't need those extras. Just saying, not from man.
No man can give you the gift of the spirit.
Hey, there you go. So, but in any case, yes. It's like it's a really, really rough situation, having to do all of the domestic things all of the time.
You'll end up creating a bunch of miserable women.
Oh yeah, there are a bunch of miserable women because I feel like generation.
And I'm not saying in a bad and condemning way, but
you get tired all the time.
Correct.
The generation before.
When do you get to be and just enjoy life?
I want to say the generation before me, let's say about 5 years or so, they had to do it all, because by then you already the more educated demographic, but now you still have to do the housework because the men still haven't been socialized in that regard to do the things on their own. And if you are now that type of person, you're in a generation of, oh well, you still got to do this and you still got to do that, and I tried it. I'm not gonna lie. I tried it. I tried doing the whole always keeping my house clean, always having food cooked, and working 3-4 jobs at a time. I was miserable.
Listen, if you could afford to outsource those things,
I hated it.
Go right ahead and outsource that. Get yourself a meal plan. Pay how much you need a week. Find yourself a trustworthy cleaner. Let her come in or him come in and clean your car wash, whatever. For me, if it's one thing I believe in, isn't outsourcing things I don't really have time to do or don't enjoy doing. Some people.
That's the thing though. You kind of get shamed for it because it's how can you do this? You should be doing this for yourself, and that is.
And you are doing it for yourself.
I'm doing it for myself. I'm paying for it. I'm paying for it.
You're doing it so you can enjoy peace. You're taking care of your space.
I was raised by a woman who did it all.
Yeah.
She did and oh my gosh, she had maids. We all had maids at growing up. We had maids, but my grandmother still would clean the house. And she's one of those people that would clean before the maid came to clean.
Yeah.
So then it's still kind of clean. So it's just a little sweep up here and a little sweep up there.
Correct. I know,
and you just have to take care of the kids.
I know,
and that's it. But it's to try to do all of that. Crazy. And for a really long time, I'm not gonna lie, I tried to do it. I tried to do it all. And when I finally admitted to myself, look, I can't do this. I work too much and I do too much to also be the uber domestic woman, the super domestic wife kind of vibe, that in that space. Yes, I'm by myself, but at the same time, trying to keep up with oh, I always have my house clean and everything is always well put together, blah blah blah. Don't get me wrong, I'm still trying it, but at the same time I hate it. Because the day that, my daughter decides she wants to do a whole tornado vibe, Tasmanian devil style, sweep through the house, and I get tired, I'm yo, crap. And the strain that it puts on you emotionally, it's weird. Because you also start to project that tiredness onto your kids. I don't know if you realize, right? But you don't have kids. Never mind. You won't realize it. But it's nowadays.
Children, so good, No, that's huge. Yeah, let me see. because I have two younger siblings. I'm the oldest.
Uh-huh.
The gap between me and my sister is 8 years, and my little brother's 13 years. You know, and then I've always had little cousins or whatever, you know, and whatnot.
Okay. All right. So you've experienced what it's like to have children running around you. Back in my day, like if you did something, I find like older people used to snap at kids so much faster.
Yeah.
Like right now, if my daughter like drops stuff on the ground, I'm just like, this was my fault. I should not have left that there because I know you were going to pick it up and I didn't think this through.
Yeah.
I would have got a whole cut behind for doing stuff. Well, no, not me.
Yeah, but I mean,
my grandmother used to allow a lot of stuff from me.
But I think you mean simply that, you know, in our time growing up, yeah, a child was not necessarily allowed to be a child to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You know, you got punished for childlike things.
Yeah, for just like you pee your pants. No, you're supposed to pee your pants. Boom, beat you.
Yeah.
And that too kind of plays into the, you know, to the thought of, you know, are we doing too much that now we don't even have enough time to be able to be a little bit more lenient with our kids.
And be graceful, yeah.
I notice like when I'm in like the thick of work, mm-hmm. I'm so much less patient with my daughter. Mm-hmm. Like I'm like, listen, I don't have time for this. And she's like, you know, she'd like look up and she'll smile and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. It was like, you know, hard with you. And like things like let's say for example last night she broke a glass and I was like, I should have known better. I should have moved that glass. I picked her up, I put her on the chair. Mm-hmm. Like the only time when I did snap at her was when she was coming down off the chair. She didn't have on shoes and I didn't want her to get a splinter in her foot. I was like, hey, don't come off the chair. Stay on that chair. You know? And that's in itself isn't even snapping at her. It's still just like, yeah. You know, whichever. But at the same love, time, you know, like I don't want you to get hurt.
Correct.
So you get that. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so weird. Like how.
But I think.
Just tired.
Even all you said, what part of the social training that we need to teach young boys, especially, is to understand what love is. You know, and that love is not commanding, and with where submission comes in, that you have a responsibility as well to submit to your wife or your spouse. You know, it's not that you lord over, you know, your girlfriend or whatever because you're the man. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of, for example, when a teacher leaves a classroom, you know, you put somebody in charge. Mm-hmm. So you as a man, you bear the ultimate responsibility mm-hmm. because, you know, someone has to be held accountable in that sense, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think the moment I really realized that was when I got married. Like, the night, you know, okay, yeah, we had our fun, blah, blah, blah. The day I woke up, I was like, whoa. You know, if anything happens to my wife, I'm the one who's responsible. Like, her father is no longer the one, mm-hmm. you know, the police or anybody could call the bank, for example. It's like, no, you go to her husband. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that she's lesser than, but it just means that, you know, that is that responsibility that I chose to carry. And so that's the reason why you have to exhibit true love, care, protection, you know, and create an atmosphere at your home that allows a woman to be a woman, and not feel burdened by the tasks or, you know, responsibilities that we deem only women are responsible for.
See, that in itself, like, I appreciate at least that, you know, that perspective on it. It seems like people are still, you know, still kind of confused with it, which is sad. But I think that, you know, we need to
2022.
I think we need to realize it's 2022.
Let's get going.
And, you know, we're not in the same space we were before.
Yeah.
We are not our grandparents. We are not our parents. We are now in a space where we are doing so much more, you know, than we would usually do. So hopefully everything kind of just, you know, it evens out eventually.
Line, right? Yeah, correct.
But we do have a lot of people who are still holding on to like those same gender norms of before.
Yeah.
Because it was so much easier.
Yeah.
And we need to understand it's not always about being easy. It's about, you know, it's about that hard work, because I did a lot of hard work in school, so that I could, you know, get a good job. I got a good job. I have a career and I have, like, you know, a lot going on, but I don't want to be shamed for not having, you know, the whole like domestic everything, you know, in order. Don't get me wrong, I'm not being shamed for it. My life is good.
Yeah, I know, man.
I have a solid balance. I don't have that.
Me and my wife, you know, we spoke about that since dating, and I was like, screw that. That was just my response. I know a lot of guys are different, and sometimes they don't think too old school, but it's like, bro, this life is great. We're gonna have a great time together. So you know, that's like the least of your worries.
Oh well, let's see how that goes. Anyway, guys, this is the Caribbean Show here on Tropics 105.5 FM. That has been, I don't even know. I think this is just like a little moment in, you know, understanding, you know, the genders and everything else, and
I guess another note of a version of a scripture verse that, you know, have always been a guiding pillar that I've used is prefer you one another. You know, it's like, yes. But basically, you know, that what you want for yourself, go even beyond for your spouse.
So there you go. You know, I think that it's very, very necessary that people be allowed to be people.
Correct.
And not just, you know, objects that are holding up other people. You know, like allow people to be around you, or allow women to develop their own personalities, their own careers, their own lives. Outside of you. Allow men to be a little bit more soft and delicate, and allow them to not always have to be the provider and the, you know, the everything all the time. You know, like share the roles a little bit more. Let's keep a healthy, happy balance and see how that goes. But yeah. In any case, guys, this is the end of our chat. Thank you so much for coming in, Ralph.
My pleasure.
I'll see you guys again tomorrow, like we do from 8 to 10 every weekday morning here on Tropics 105.5 FM.